So we made this amber ale, and all the people who were like the students who were working there all got together, and we made a big party and stuff. Our cook was from Texas, and he made some ribs, and it was really great. And we all got hammered on this amber ale because it was like 9%. Oh. But back then I wasn't even testing for alcohol and stuff, so it was pretty fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside. We are in our second week here in Plattsburgh, and joining me today is Jessy from Oval Craft Brewing.
Hi.
Thank you very much for taking time in your schedule to speak with us about your brewery, the history of this building, and your delicious looking beers I got here in front of me.
My pleasure.
This has been 27 months in the making. We had booked the day the border shut down. We were supposed to be here. I'm so happy we finally got to get this done.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to and unfortunately it's also been 27 months since I've got to drink your beers. So let's start with the beer here.
Sure. So I made a flight for us to enjoy today. Basically, it starts out with 3 of the flagships that my distributor carries. So it's my Pilsner Simplicity, Prom Cherry, which is a blonde ale, Rock Eater, which is a kind of a West Coast IPA, and then I folded it into 3 seasonals we have going. My anniversary beer, which was about a month ago, it's a Hipster Magnet. It's a double New England style IPA. Camp, which is a blood orange ginger saison, and Eclipse, which is a ESB. So kind of a little bit of a variety there for us.
And what we'll do is we'll taste that variety while we're talking about all the questions I have. So let's start with the Pilsner.
Absolutely.
Okay, as we do on the show, we go a toast.
A toast.
Oh, nice and clean smelling Pilsner. Ooh, yeah.
I brew my Pils with a little bit of rye in it, and I feel like it gives it a little bit more flavor, a little spicy earthiness that kind of works nice with the laurel hops.
Yeah, I was going to say it tastes a little earthier than the Pilsners I'm used to.
Yeah,
so
this is from the rye. People I've learned love or hate rye, so it's kind of it's interesting, but I find most people are well into this beer.
Yeah. No, I mean, rye's fantastic. I'm a big fan, from drinking just rye out of a bottle to adding it to beers. I've had a couple of rye IPAs. I've had a couple of aged rye ales. It's pretty versatile what you can do with rye. So especially when it comes to beer. And you mentioning you have a biology background too, so this is biology.
Yes.
So
yeah, I tend to take a little bit more of a scientific approach when brewing. I'm a big data guy, so I like to have all those numbers, and I like to have things. I like to brew certain things very true to style, and then other things I like to go off book and kind of make it a little more creative. So
very cool.
A mix of the art and science, I guess.
So what's Jessy and Oval Craft's beer story?
So we've been open since 2016. May. We opened on Friday the 13th, May. It was pretty cool, and we just celebrated our 6-year anniversary about a month ago. I would say in the 6 years, I've probably brewed maybe 50 to 55 different beers so far.
Wow.
Generally in the summertime, I'll have 10 beers on tap. Wintertime, I scale it back a little bit just so we have less people, less traffic coming in. The brewery itself has been doing very well. I feel like we're in a great location in Plattsburgh. It kind of creates a little bit of that vibe that we have going, and it's been a good business so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you decide to take that brewery, like becoming a brewery owner and a brewer?
So it started out, I started homebrewing when I was in college. Back then I could make better beer than I could afford, so it was a no-brainer. I kind of got into it and started doing more and more recipe development and getting more into the chemistry of brewing and things. And I homebrewed for 19 years. About 15 years into it, some people who are large in craft in the area, some other brewers and stuff, had some of my beer. They say, "Hey, you could probably go commercial." At this point, that was never like a pipe dream for me or anything. It was just I enjoyed brewing, but my work situation was changing at the time, and I started to explore it a little bit, and it turned into this.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's quite the adventure. I mean, homebrewing almost 20 years. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work. I took a little break when my kids were really little. I just couldn't keep things clean enough. You can only have so many bad batches because someone put something in a beer. But so it's been a fun ride.
I mean, young kids, I can't imagine the yeasts that are all of a sudden wild in the area.
Yeah, especially when there's little kids running around. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so you said 2016, 6 years, minus 2, because of everything that's gone on. But I'm sure where you are located too, losing that I'm sure you get a lot of Canadians in here.
Yeah.
especially Montrealers. That must have sucked, losing that Canadians coming in, and people like myself who love adventuring just outside my area to discover new breweries, and all of a sudden I can't. And even regulars, I'm sure, who have campsites or whatever, like that had to hurt.
Yeah, it was interesting because pre-pandemic, I mean, any given night you could come in here and there'd be Canadians in here, and all of a sudden, pandemic hits and there's no more French accent anywhere. It's kind of like, I miss it. But yeah, so we had people coming down be on their boats in the marina or local campsites, or just coming down just to get out of Quebec for a couple days. So yeah, I've always enjoyed our neighbors from the north, and I think everyone up there appreciates good beer, so it's kind of been a good fit.
We're making our way back.
Yeah.
Give us time.
Yeah.
More of us will be here. So
Yeah.
it's besides kind of obviously pandemic and shutting down a good contingency of your Canadian folk, I'm sure locals really stepped up and started coming here more and picking up even just, I'm going to get a growler in 2 cans, or I'm going to get my growler filled, a crowler in a can. Like, do you find your locals really stepped up during the last couple of years?
So I kind of run the business to cater more towards local business as opposed to tourism. I brew styles that I know will be popular here in Plattsburgh.
Okay.
And I find that the local community was very, very supportive of me through COVID. For the little while there, we were shut down where we could only do to-go, but I'm selling, 60 crowlers a night. It was great. It was really nice. I still have a very local following. I do a mug club, so any given day you'll see, 15 mugs on the bar. It's really nice, and that's one of the things I gotta say is the best part of starting this business is the people I've met through the business and having that kind of community feel in the space.
Oval Craft, pretty unique name. What made you decide that, and not kind of, since we are, like I said, in a retired firehouse, why not like firehouse ales or anything like that?
This area right here is a National Historic District. It's called the U.S. Oval because of the parade grounds that are just to the north of the building. This is where in the 1800s, 1900s, a lot of the U.S. early presidents would come up here and they would parade the soldiers around. This was a very important base. So anyone local to this area, if you say, I'm at the Oval, they know where the Oval is.
Okay.
It's a very distinctive area of Plattsburgh. And then it has kind of like a different meaning for anyone outside the area. So I kind of wanted something that was reflective of the local environment, but I also wanted something that was kind of just universally acceptable, where it wasn't somewhere where people are like, oh, it's just dumb, that makes no sense. So Oval Craft, that's where it came.
So when, obviously, let's do as I call it, the before times. When you were creating Oval Craft, what kind of like roadblocks and difficulties did you run into, either from creating the brand, finding the building, city permits? Was the city of Plattsburgh super welcoming to open another brewery here?
So I had two kind of things that were unique for me. One, my federal license. So you apply for a federal license in the States and then you get a state license. Alcohol is controlled by the state, but the federal government still taxes it. So you got to appease your masters, So my federal license took me 8 months to get, which is very irregular. Unfortunately, I had someone who wasn't, they were overworked and they had too much of a workload, and I was the one who kept getting put on the bottom of the pile. So that was kind of a mishap. And the second thing that I ran into was zoning in the city. Because I wasn't doing food, they had no fit for me zoning wise. So I had to do a variance on zoning and these things because I was the first brewery that was just a brewery to come into Plattsburgh, so they had nothing set for that. So there was a little bit of some legwork with that. And then probably the biggest thing for me is anything I do outside of this building, because it's a National Historic District, has to go through a historic review, and they have to make sure that it's appropriate and I'm not changing the appearances of the area. So there's a lot of legwork with that as well. Yeah.
Cool. You sound like you were a little busier than our last interview at Valcour. You sound like you had a little bit more extra work to do than they did.
Yeah, well, I think they were able to slide into the restaurant category, restaurant brew pub, which already has existed, so it kind of was around. Yeah.
I'm assuming the city of Plattsburgh's like, yes, more money for us.
Well, the city's been great. Otherwise, they just have they have certain rules in place, and when you're not fitting into a lane to get into the rule, you got to kind of find the lane.
Awesome. It's beer number 2 we got on your palate here.
Prom Night Cherry.
Okay.
Prom Night Cherry is a blonde ale. This beer has been around since I opened. It's one of my flagships. Very popular beer. People who aren't huge craft people enjoy this beer because it's very easy drinking. And it's just a nice, refreshing beer.
Awesome.
To have.
A toast. Super well balanced cherry. It's not like a crazy tart, sour cherryness to it. So it's
Yeah.
It's like the hint of cherry.
A lot of people fear, the infamous cherry wheat that's out there. That's very cherry. This beer it was never designed to be a cherry beer. It's just it's a beer that has a little bit of cherry, just to kind of make it a little more appealing, a little more approachable.
Yeah, super light, nice, crushable. Any time of the year beer. So.
Yep, and it sells great year round. It's a nice beer in a restaurant because it's not giving you palate fatigue.
Yeah.
It's balanced and you can really, really enjoy a couple.
Yeah. I mean, I usually ask this later on, but your palettes, I mean, so unique. The hexagon shape here and your logo in the middle, like what made you decide this versus kind of the regular wood flight thing?
It really was more of a, I knew when I was getting ready to open that I would always have at least 6 beers on tap. That was kind of that would never change kind of thing. So I kind of designed my flight around that idea. And being that I had the hexagon in my logo, it just kind of was a natural fit.
Okay.
And it's funny, I used to work for a local pharmaceutical company years ago, and we were bought out by another pharmaceutical company and we got closed down. So a lot of us, like myself, went on to create their own businesses, and the guy who made these for me was another person who worked there in the QA department, and he became a woodworker, and he made my paddles for me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so unique, this industry as a whole, and it seems very supportive of each other at the same time too.
Yeah.
Mary at Valcourt did shout you guys out. She's like, yeah, you have to go to Oval Craft after me. They're literally a 5-minute walk across the yard.
Yeah.
So the love you guys have for each other is fantastic.
We've been fortunate in this area of New York that we have a very friendly relationship, all of us together. We'll do things all together. We'll use each other. Hey, I need a bag of 2-row. Can you spare one? Sure, I'll run it over to you. And we're doing this stuff on a regular basis. So it's been really a good industry and a good community to be involved in that sense. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know you've collabed with Valcourt.
Yep.
Who else have you done collabs with?
So locally, I've a couple years ago, Valcourt, Living Goods, Ausable, and myself, we all did a collaboration where each of us brewed with Living Goods, and then all 4 of us brewed together. So we were selling as a mixed 4-pack, which was a really cool concept. So you had in each beer in the 4-pack was unique to the point where you could taste each brewery's influence. Yeah, so that was really pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I've done another collab with Green Empire over in Vermont. Evan and I have done a couple of double IPAs together called Fashionably Late. Those have been really popular. He went to school in Plattsburgh, at SUNY Plattsburgh, and we kidded around that Plattsburgh's always a little bit later to the Knicks than Vermont. So that's where we came up with Fashionably Late for the beer. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anybody you'd love to brew with, either just in Vermont or if you've ever been internationally, like kind of a couple of dream collabs you'd love to do? Head over to Montreal at some breweries. Like, who would you love to make a beer with?
I think a dream brewery would probably be Sierra Nevada. I mean, these guys are the old school, the OG, kind of, created this whole thing. I think that'd be an amazing thing to do, just to get that experience of working with someone like those guys. And then you got some of the rock stars around. I mean, hey, Lawson's or even like Equilibrium. All these guys, these guys are putting out some serious stuff, and it's got mass appeal.
Yeah, I mentioned the uniqueness before. It's like, well, Alchemist, like the kind of the creator of the New England style IPA. It's like, oh, cool. I'm like, well, that Von Trapp place though has a giant hot tub. So it's I find it's the same in Montreal where we are. It's like big group of breweries, and then kind of like one sprinkled in a little town, then another big group of breweries. And I find that just looking on the 87 or going through Vermont, it's like just on the other side you have Two Heroes and Kramer and Kin.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, and then a big group in Burlington, but then you got to travel a bit more. And
so
it's there's so much good beer in just our part of kind of North America.
Yes, for
and
sure.
We're so incredibly spoiled. It's ridiculous. And I love it. It's, as a craft beer drinker and supporting local companies, I'm just like, oh, I'm so happy. My paycheck my bank account on the other hand says otherwise, but it's we're very, very spoiled as where we are in the US and Canada, super spoiled for beer.
Yeah.
And most Canadians do live, I believe, within 3 hours of the US border, so it's Canadians in general, we could just come by and drink.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what's beer number 3 we got here?
This is Rock Eater.
Okay.
This is my flagship beer. This is the most popular beer at the brewery. It's an IPA. It's brewed to be more drinkable than average. It's got a little bit more malt, a little citrus going on there. Some Citra and local Cascade.
Okay.
It's just a nice drinking IPA that people can really enjoy over time. Yeah.
A toast. Oh, yeah. It's not a crazy over hoppy IPA. It's got a little bit of malty backbone to it at the same time. So, yet again, I'm a big fan of your beers in general. So, just finally getting to do this is so big for me. You mentioned homebrewing 19 years ago. What was good or bad? What was that first beer you brewed?
First beer I ever brewed was an amber ale. I was working for the Audubon Society down in Greenwich, Connecticut. Basically what it was is we would take teachers up from New York City. My degree is I have a degree in education, I have a degree in biology. So I would teach the teachers from New York City how to teach environmental things in a micro environment. Okay. And also part of our duty was to be in the kitchen. So I had access to a commercial kitchen. So it just kind of was one of these things that worked out nicely. So we made this amber ale, and all the people who were like the students who were working there all got together, and we made a big party and stuff. Our cook was from Texas, and he made some ribs, and it was really great. And we all got hammered on this amber ale because it was like 9%. Oh. But back then I wasn't even testing for alcohol and stuff, so it was pretty fun.
Yeah, you're not dropping in the reader.
There was no reader back then. No, it comes out the way it comes out.
As long as it doesn't taste like ethanol, we're good.
Yeah.
So, what's the first beer that ever came out of Oval Craft?
First beer here was Rock Eater.
Okay.
Yeah, that was number 1.
Nice.
My original lineup: Rock Eater, Prom Night, Simple Man, which is a brown ale I don't have on tap right now, and then a beer that I called a Hop Session, which was like just a really nice hoppy session ale. Yeah, it was
nice.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Super unique building, retired firehouse, as I mentioned. Do you know the history of this building? Like, what made you decide here and not kind of a building down or build your own building, or where I believe it used to be called Lake City?
Correct.
Like, what made you not to pick there instead, and why the retired firehouse?
So I looked at buildings all over the area, and this one just kind of spoke to me. It's in this historic area of Plattsburgh, which is kind of cool. Yeah. This area also has it's very active. Like, there's always people out walking their dogs or running or cycling. And just an old firehouse is a cool space. You know, it lends itself to a brewery. You know, we have big rooms with good floors, good drainage, and good water supply. So it kind of all worked out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Even easier.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's number 4 here?
Number 4 is Hipster Magnet. This is my anniversary beer. It's a double New England IPA. Every year, I brew it every year, but I change it every year, so it's always unique for the year, and it only comes out once for the anniversary.
Nice. As you do. A toast. Yeah, my nephew a couple of months ago, he's like, "You look like a hipster." I'm like, "You take that back."
Yeah, kind of a funny name. I made a little spoof on the people who would talk about it the most, maybe. But it's all in good fun. It's a nice beer. It's also double, and it's kind of one of those things that people look forward to every year. Is what's it going to be this year?
Yeah, you have some. I mean, it's the creativity of what's coming out in the glass, the creativity of the names, and who does name your. Is it you that name your beers? Do you have kind of team meeting? Like, where do your beer names come up from?
I name them all. A lot of them have maybe a little backstory to the name. Okay. Some of them is just off the cuff. But I name everything. And typically I won't name a beer until it tastes the way I want it to taste. Yeah. Sometimes I will brew a pilot batch of something and it won't come out the way I like, and it just goes on as pale ale. There's no name to it. It's going to be that until it's right.
And I'm pretty sure you only recently started doing cans themselves as well, or at least from my 2 years I haven't been able to be here. What made you decide to have like kind of the full range of growler, can, and, well, sticking with the growler, obviously you're locals all the time. Yeah. But what made you decide growlers and cans?
Growlers just seemed like the logical step for people who wanted to have the beer out on their boat at the beach or whatever, because at that time I was only doing the growlers. Canning, the 16-ounce cans has just moved in the last year or so. I actually have another run scheduled in a couple of weeks where I'll have 3 new beers in 16-ounce cans. Nice. And that just buys into this new, where people are drinking more at home now, less out with the pandemic and everything. So, 4 packs to go is always a good package.
Yeah. No, I'm still, I'm cautiously optimistic and a little trepidatious about when going out and doing things. We just had our Mondial in Montreal not too long ago, and it's like, well, nobody's coughing or sneezing, so I'm comfortable. Yeah. And I kept a mask on me just in case, even though the beer kind of defeats the purpose. But I'm still trying to remain respectful. I felt fine. My allergies are acting up because it's the season, but it's nobody's coughing or sneezing, and that's the most important part. Is I feel as general, like we're doing it with concerts too that we're booking, is people are just remaining cautiously optimistic. Because if I'm sick, just stay home. That's it. Right. You can drink beer at home. It's not as fun, but just drink beer in your backyard.
There you go. Yeah, have a fire.
Yeah, awesome. So somebody comes here, obviously clearly tries your beers. Friends in the area to try, besides just Valcourt, because clearly they're right there.
Yeah.
Any other breweries that you'd tell me to try that maybe I haven't tried before?
So anyone that comes into town, if they're looking to hit more stops than doing the brewery hopping, I would always send them to Valcourt for sure. They're basically my neighbors.
Yeah.
We have Living Goods just one exit away, and then one more exit, we have Au Sable Brewing. Each one of us is a good reflection of the personality of that brewery. So it kind of gives someone even a unique perspective on the local community going to each one. So it's kind of a nice little mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beer number 5 here.
So number 5 is Camp. This is the Blood Orange Ginger Saison.
Okay.
I brewed this beer in 2017 was the last time. It's a real nice Saison, little play with the ginger in it. Real popular beer when it's on tap.
Awesome. A toast. Ooh.
Has a nice summer flavor.
Yeah.
It's real fresh.
It's kind of dancing on my palate.
Yeah, it's. I enjoyed the beer. I originally made this beer for a brew fest years ago, my first year open, and it was so popular, people would get a sample, get back in line, get a sample until it was gone. So I was like, you know what, this is going to get scaled up to the big system.
That's delightful. That is summer crushable, as I like to say. Like, this is something, like you said, maybe I'm fishing or whatever and drink a bunch of these.
Yeah.
And don't drive after, because don't drink and drive. So,
No.
yeah, for sure. I mean, all your beers, I've always been a fan of. Since I was able to come here, I think roughly 2017 was the first time I was here, because my folks had a place in Jessy. And so it'd be like, well, let's discover New York State craft beer.
Yeah.
And it was more than just PBC at the time. It's finally, there's Valcourt, there's there's Living Goods in Peru. It's right there. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And then even not further down, 2 hours away, you got Saratoga. I think there's 10 breweries there now in Saratoga Springs.
They're blowing up. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
And you got everything west of us too, like the Hex and Hops and Bloomingdale, and the Lake Placid guys, and so we're all over now.
Yeah, just stay at the casino and visit some breweries.
There you go.
Or Lake Placid. I mean, that's family fun time with not far from Lake George, from what I remember. So you can just keep yourself busy as Canadians who live near Plattsburgh. Come on down and drink some good beer.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. You got an MGD, somebody, now clearly a lot of locals, but you have somebody new come in who's, what's this craft beer stuff? I only drink MGD or Coors. Like, what's the gateway beer for that person?
I would probably send them to the Pilsner, Simplicity Pils. That's a really nice, it was our first beer we tried. It's not hard on anyone's palate, and they're going to enjoy it. I haven't had any complaints from any kind of the diehard Bud Light people, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. So I like to ask beercations. When you have time, because clearly owning a brewery takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
When there's actually somehow a miracle if you could take a week or two off and travel and don't have to sit in a plane and worry about the person next to you coughing and infecting everybody. What's that beercation you've never been on that you'd love to take?
Right now, I would say I'd like to do one I'd love to do is Europe. I mean, I was supposed to go to Belgium a couple years ago, but my wife had a conflict and we weren't able to go. And that was pre-pandemic, and it hasn't happened since. Because, like you said, time is tricky as a brewery. So Europe would be a huge one. I mean, to have some of this beer before it was called a craft beer, it was just that was the local beer. It doesn't get any better than that. In the States, I've never been to California just to drink beer. I did live in the Seattle area and loved it. So the great beer out there, I would love to go back and just try to hit more of them out there as well.
Yeah. All right, what's the last beer we're trying here?
Last beer is Eclipse. This is an ESB.
Oh, nice.
So Old English style. And again, it's just some of those things that you want to have on tap for someone who just wants to drink a beer.
Yeah.
It's not sexy. It's not, no one's going to write home about it, but they're going to sit here and really enjoy it.
I'm a big fan of English special bitters. So.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, a toast.
Toast. Oh, delightful.
Some nice caramel in there, a little bit of dark fruit, very balanced.
Oh, yeah.
Just going to really put them away.
Yeah, that is a dangerously tasty beer. People don't know a lot about the ESBs, and I'm surprised. Like, they're just one of the old school styles. Like, drink that beer.
This beer's been around a long time. And like I always try to have at least something on tap that is just that crusher kind of beer that everyone, you can just sit there and have 3 of them and I drank 3 already.
Yeah,
one of those things.
Exactly. And that's the deceiving part, is there's some now, like some New Englands that are just like, it tastes like I'm drinking juice. Oh, these are 8% beers and I'm intoxicated. So it's how you guys mask like the alcohol now and just like a nicely balanced, like you said, caramel maltiness to juicy tropical flavor in another beer, and it's just the science behind beer and the creativity is mind-blowing.
Yeah, for sure.
What's next for Oval Craft as a brand?
Next big thing here, big change, I guess, would be I'm going to redo my kitchen here and have a commercial kitchen and start doing food. It's kind of the natural progression to ensure my space stays very good, and to start doing kind of some beer pairing and have some very beer-oriented food, I think is ideal.
So are you going to have a food and beer pairing, or are you going to have a suggestion?
I will probably list it as a suggestion and encourage, yes.
Yeah, that's always good to hear, especially for people who don't really know that you can pair beer with food. Having that suggestion is always helpful.
Yes, for sure.
That's really good. I mean, this has been a fantastic talk. I know it was a little quick there, but I really, really appreciate you taking time in your schedule to speak with us about your brewery. I look forward to coming back here more times now that things are a little safer to travel. How can people find you?
So I'm on the old Air Force Base in Plattsburgh. It's the just off the U.S. Oval, not too far from downtown. So if you're on 87, you get off in Plattsburgh, and you can probably just put it in the GPS on your phone, and you'll be here in no time.
Awesome. And social media, how do people find you?
Facebook, Oval Craft Brewing, and on Instagram it is Oval_Craft. And most anything I'm doing is posted on social media, so it's also available. I have a website, www.ovalcraftbrewing.com, and we'll be rolling out a new one within this week. So
amazing. So all that will be in the show notes. As for us, it's at All Beer Inside on all social media. allbeerinside.com is the website. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.